This will be a day long remembered. Now I am the master.
Welcome to another episode of Legends and Theories, and welcome to a review of X-Wing Solo Command. This is book, I think, 7 in the X-Wing series, and is the third book that focuses on Wraith Squadron, but it does have some appearance from Rogue Squadron, since they both work together in this novel. And of the three ones of the Wraith Squadron books, this one was definitely my favorite. Personally, I enjoyed the Rogue Squadron one's a little more. Maybe that is just due to Corran Horn being essentially like the primary character in that, and of all the pilots, I think he was probably my favorite, closely followed by Wedge. But throughout this, honestly, it was a really solid story. It had a great amount of intriguing characters, and ultimately, it was just such a fun novel to read where these characters just play off each other really well, and the fact that they're willing to mess around with each other is really nice. But there's also this great set of the threat from Willard Zinj, and the fact that they're trying to take him down. This does have to set up the courtship of Princess Leia, which I'm pretty sure did come out before this, so people would know that Iron Fist could not be destroyed and Zinja could not be killed. Again, not too sure if it is Zinja or Zinja, but since all the books are saying Zinja, I'm gonna go with that. I've heard, yeah, whenever I've heard his name before, it was Zinj, but I hear Zinja in these books, so I'm assuming that is the correct way to say his name. It's probably one of those things like people who say Ra's al Ghul and Ra's al Ghul. Raish is the correct pronunciation, but there is that wrong one, so I don't know which one is which for this one specifically, so I'm just gonna go with what's in the official source material, especially since the book was recorded relatively recently. It just came out, but it was probably recorded probably a few months to maybe even a year ago. Because honestly, I have no idea how much effort is put into these if they just have more or less one take that they use, or if they edit together different takes. They obviously add the sound effects in and music and everything, but I'm assuming that at most this was recorded about a year ago, so we definitely know that this is at least what the pronunciation should be, but I'm not fully sure if it is that or if they changed the pronunciation over time or something else. But enough of that, because I'm going to talk about the book. I think that probably the most interesting part of it is this mystery with Zinj going and brainwashing different New Republic agents to kind of turn the people against the aliens, and that'd be an official capacity, which would cause a bunch of problems for the New Republic to put humans and aliens on two different sides. It is ultimately thwarted, and there is a resolution to the Doctor who goes and commits these crimes. There's honestly a really great and satisfying ending with her at the end where it looks like she's going to get away with all this for her turning information over to the New Republic until we learn that it's actually considered a serious crime to be having Imperial credits in the New Republic, and that anyone found with an high amount of them would be found guilty of some very serious smuggling crimes and get life sentences, which is what happens to her. So I think that was a really satisfying ending. I knew something was going to happen to her. I was thinking that she was going to be killed somehow by one of her experiments, but it just didn't feel like something that the New Republic would do. But tricking her into getting herself sentenced to life did work a lot. So honestly, that was just a great little play by them to make her dig her own grave and have herself be arrested for a separate crime, since they said they were only going to pardon her for the crimes that she admitted to, and she wanted the Imperial credits over the New Republic ones. So that honestly worked out a lot, and just going into everything with the squadron you're dealing with, the entire undercover mission was definitely an interesting part of it. The sabotage on Iron Fist is what leads it to hide on Dathomir in courtship of Princess Leia. I can't remember if they are surprised that Iron Fist is there and that it still is, well, exists or not, but here they have it assumed it's been destroyed. So it seems like from a storytelling perspective, that the rebels have a major victory, or really New Republic has a major victory, but the entire thing was a sham pulled off by Zinja to make the rebels think they won. But ultimately, he dies alongside his capital ship in the courtship of Princess Leia. And just continuing through more of the good stuff to get, we have really nice moments as Wedge's sort of bonds with Han throughout this book. It is called Solo Command, and, well, if you're not sure if that was just an unfortunate naming or if Han Solo's actually in it, well, based on the fact that the Millennium Falcon is shown on the cover, I think that you could tell that Han is involved in it. Although technically, the Falcon doesn't appear at all in this book. The Millennium Falsehood, a ship that was made to look like the Falcon because Han left the Falcon with Leia to basically like prove his commitment to her and the cause. And I think the main reason he doesn't have it in this book is due to the fact I think that it's set in courtship of Princess Leia. He hasn't flown the Falcon in a few years as he has commanded the squadrons going after Zinja, so he wasn't able to have the Falcon in this book just to keep up with that lore. So they still found a way to keep the iconic ship in the story, at least, in a way, since the ship is not actually in the book. It is a ship made to impersonate it, but this entire plan for them to kind of force Zinja into a trap is a good one, and it is ultimately pretty interesting that they work with the Empire to try to take him down, since he is a warlord and both sides want him to be taken down. So that's honestly pretty interesting, and there's also the fact that Wedge thinks he gets out of becoming a general, although we do know he eventually will be promoted because he does become one, I believe, of the Thrawn trilogy. So this entire thing was them just kind of playing on the fact that Wedge doesn't want to become a general until he eventually is forced to take it. I thought that him becoming a general would actually be explained in this, but it isn't. And going through just the rest of it, I think Wedge has some nice moments with the squadron, and all the members of Wraith Squadron have a great time in it. The few ones from Rogue Squadron that do have a more prominent appearance, like Corran Horn and a few others, were also cool to see. And the fact that they also explain this little thing that I never really knew, but it does make sense that Wraith Squadron is disbanded as an X-Wing squadron and now made a part of Republic intelligence to work better with them. It does make sense, especially with their appearances in later books where, while they do have their X-Wings and fly combat, they're doing a lot of espionage-based missions. And I do know that they do have a prominent role in the final X-Wing book, but I do think that the next two, their books 8 and 9, I think there's 10 books in the X-Wing series, both focus on Rogue Squadron. So honestly, I really do want to see them go and do those other two as full unabridged audiobooks because currently they're not planned. But I think I said the exact same thing about this book about a year ago when I reviewed Wraith Squadron. I think that we might have known about the second book, about that coming out at that point, but we didn't know about the third one. So there's a very good chance that we will be seeing the next two and final two X-Wing books that don't have unabridged audiobooks come out for this next year. And then hopefully they could go and release a bigger series like the New Jedi Order or Legacy of the Force after this, since they had so many. But honestly, I'm really basically done with this. I said I had an enjoyable time with it, and had a solid story, and I personally have a great enjoyment of these X-Wing books. And yeah, honestly, I think it's just because of the characters. And there's some I enjoy more than others, but they're all fun. There's these great little inside jokes, and they like just kind of like messing with each other. So it's honestly just a lot of fun. There's the first, I think, the character of Wes Jansen, and I think he's the exact same in canon, where he's just sort of this kind of like goofball character who likes mess around with his squad mates. There's the entire thing where the jokes of Lieutenant Ketch is paid off here, where they find there's an actual Ewok pilot that has been created by the Empire, and that is honestly just a fun little payoff. So yeah, honestly, there's also the fact that I'm kind of terrible with names, but the one that went undercover with the Empire after she was initially worked for them. I think that it is good that she survived ultimately, but it could also be interesting to see her be killed off because, at least for the Wraiths, I don't think anyone dies. We do have a few from Rogue Squadron, with one of them having to be killed by Corran, who does it ultimately because they've been brainwashed and they don't know that at the time. So yeah, honestly, that's interesting, and I am excited to eventually read the other two books. If they don't release them as audiobooks, I will just buy them, but as I said, I'm currently in the middle of, well, not really the middle, but like towards the beginning of Dark Nest, and after that I will be going into Fate of the Jedi. So there's a long time until I could get to that book series if I do get physical copies of them, but I do want to know what you think. Please let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next episode of Legends and Theories. Thank you for watching this episode of Legends and Theories. Please subscribe, like the video, share the video, leave a comment, check out the video on screen, and may the Force be with you.